Hello, welcome back to the Watford Way. Today, as I react to Watford's 1-0 victory over Sheffield Wednesday at Vicarage Road. And firstly, I just want to say I think we can all be happy with the 3 points, regardless of how Watford win football matches. 3 points is ultimately the aim at the end of the 90 minutes. And we did manage to do that yesterday. However, I think the major caveat is, especially really for the first, I would say, 60 minutes of that game, we really struggled to create anything whatsoever against quite possibly the worst side in the division. In fact, Sheffield Wednesday, now after 12 games, you have the worst points total at this stage in Championship history, which shows how poor they've been this season. Largely, obviously, most of them games were under Xisco Munoz, who really struggled at Sheffield Wednesday. But even still, I felt Watford should have created much more than we did. I believe we only had one shot on target throughout the entire game. That obviously came through Yaser Asprilla, which we'll get onto in just a moment. But yeah, as I said, we really struggled to create any chances whatsoever in the game. I mean, the first half especially, I was kind of sat there with my head in my hands, really struggling to watch any sort of cohesive football that Watford were trying to do. It was very samey, a lot of passes between Wesley Hoot and the fullbacks. I felt most of our successful attacks, or attempted attacks, I should say, did come out wide. I thought Jeremy Ngakia, a lot of the play went through him. Jamal Lewis struggled to influence the game for me in the first half, and actually he gave away the penalty that was overturned in the second half as well, albeit it probably was the right decision to overturn the penalty that was given by the referee. But even still, I thought Jamal Lewis, out of both fullbacks, had the poor of the game out of him and Ngakia. But yeah, that's enough of the negatives for me. I think we all know we struggled in that first half. It's not giving me a lot of confidence going into much tougher games coming up against Swansea City and Millwall at home next weekend. But yeah, Yaser Asprilla, the little magician, come on. And yeah, he had a great influence in the game. A big shout out to some other substitutions as well. Ken Sema, I thought, after coming back from injury, had a massive impact, especially down that left-hand side. He actually got subbed on just after Jamal Lewis had given away that penalty. That was then later overturned by the linesman on that far side of the pitch. And yeah, I think we really miss King K actually. What he offers down that left-hand side is, his strength, actually, his physicality, I think, is really underrated. But equally, just the delivery of the balls he can put in on that left-hand side, I think, is something we miss quite a lot. In the past, 10, 11 games that we've played, I don't think we've really had many good deliveries from them wide positions in terms of balls across the box or crosses and someone trying to get their head on it. And I think Ken Sema just offers that little bit of composure. And yeah, he's really hard to stop as a defender. Coming up against Ken Sema, he's a very hard player to stop. So yeah, shout out to Sema, shout out to Kone as well, because I thought he changed the game when he came on. But of course, finally, the massive shout out has to go to Yaser Asprilla because he completely changed the dynamic of the game. I think for me at the moment, Yaser Asprilla is strongest coming on against tired legs. I think when we've seen him start games this season, he's only started 3 games prior to this one. When he started games, I feel like he struggled to influence the game maybe as much as he can do, and the ability he has, he certainly can influence games. But I think, Asprilla coming on against tired legs, I think that for me is where we need to utilise him at the moment. Now, it's frustrating we can't start him week in, week out, but I think at the moment his physicality can let him down sometimes. I think towards the end of games he can tire out quite quickly. And yeah, we've seen that with Watford players previously, not just Yaser Asprilla, but Ismail Assar, Joao Pedro. When they come on against tired legs, defenders panic, they make mistakes. And that's ultimately what happened in this instance. Asprilla picked up the ball on the right-hand side. He drove back in across the box. No one really put in a challenge whatsoever. The goalkeeper's position, actually, I found to be quite poor. And yeah, Yaser Asprilla had a shot and the ball went in. And ultimately, that one moment of quality won Watford that game. But if it wasn't for Yaser Asprilla, Watford could have potentially been staring at either a defeat or a really disappointing draw against, quite frankly, the worst team in the division. I think that's the concern for me. We struggled to beat the worst team in the league. And yeah, Tuesday night we got to come up against a Swansea City side who, yes, they lost their last match, but before that they won 4 games on the bounce. And that's a run of form Watford have failed to put together so far this season. So a lot of tougher games to come. yes, very happy with the 3 points, albeit I can't sit here and say I feel more confident after that game. I still have many concerns about maybe the style of play and actually the individual ability of some of these Watford players. That is concerning me as well. But hopefully, this win can up the morale, up the confidence within the squad. And yeah, hopefully pick up our first away win for a very long time against Swansea City on Tuesday night. Thanks so much for watching this video. It's very much appreciated. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to leave a comment about your thoughts in this game. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to our channel as well. It'd be very much appreciated. Thank you and goodbye.